Welcome, folks! Today we are discussing the fascinating evolution and complexities of social identity.
I'm eager to delve into this. What's the central argument of this work?
The core argument is that our modern understanding of identity, encompassing race, sex, class, nationality, etc., is a relatively recent phenomenon. It wasn't always a central aspect of how people perceive themselves or others. The author challenges the notion that identity issues are uniquely modern, demonstrating their existence long before the widespread use of the term identity in the mid-20th century.
So, if identity wasn't a major focus historically, when did it become so prominent?
The author points to Erik Erikson's work post-World War II as a pivotal moment. Erikson's exploration of ego identity in developmental psychology significantly influenced how we conceptualize identity. His personal experiences with a mixed racial and religious background also shaped his understanding and contributed to the widespread adoption of the concept. However, the author argues that even before Erikson, the underlying issues of identity were present, even if not explicitly labeled as such.
That's interesting. You mentioned Erikson's personal experiences influencing his work. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. Erikson's own background, a racially mixed Scandinavian upbringing within a Jewish family, led him to experience firsthand the complexities of multiple, sometimes conflicting identities. He was called both Goy and Jew, highlighting the social construction of identity. This personal struggle directly informed his theoretical work, making his perspective particularly insightful.
So, how did sociologists contribute to our understanding of social identity?
Alvin W. Goldner provided a key definition, describing social identity as the characteristics assigned to a person by their group, interpreted through cultural categories. This process of classification, he argued, leads to expectations and roles associated with those identities. Goldner's work helped formalize the sociological understanding of identity.
The text mentions the rise of identity-based political movements. How did that impact the understanding of identity?
The rise of movements based on gender, sexuality, race, religion, and ethnicity in the 1960s and 70s brought identity to the forefront of political discourse. These movements highlighted the power dynamics inherent in identity and the struggles for recognition and equality. Nationalist movements further emphasized the importance of identity in shaping political affiliations and conflicts.
The author discusses their own personal experiences with identity. How do these experiences inform their perspective?
The author's personal journey, having a British passport but identifying as Ghanaian, illustrates the complexities of identity. Their experiences highlight the disconnect between legal definitions and personal identification, and the challenges of navigating multiple cultural contexts. This personal narrative adds a powerful layer to the theoretical discussion.
The text emphasizes the importance of labels in understanding identity. Why are labels so crucial?
Labels are fundamental because they provide a way to categorize and understand identities. They allow us to identify individuals belonging to specific groups and to understand the shared characteristics and expectations associated with those groups. However, the author also points out the inherent ambiguity and potential for conflict in applying labels, as seen in the examples of U ethnicity or Jain religious identity.
The text also discusses the normative significance of identity. What does that mean?
Normative significance refers to the impact of identity on behavior and moral reasoning. People often justify their actions based on their identities, believing they should behave in certain ways because of who they are. This highlights the moral and ethical dimensions of identity and the influence it has on everyday life. However, the author notes that there's often disagreement about what constitutes appropriate behavior within a given identity group.
The discussion of gender is particularly interesting. How does the text approach this complex topic?
The text explores the biological spectrum of sex and contrasts it with the social construct of gender. It highlights the existence of intersex individuals and the various ways societies have categorized and responded to variations in sexual morphology. The author uses examples from different cultures to illustrate the diversity of gender systems and the fluidity of gender identity.
The concept of intersectionality is mentioned. Can you explain its relevance to identity?
Intersectionality emphasizes the interconnectedness of various identities. It argues that the experience of having multiple identities, e.g., being a Black lesbian, is not simply the sum of individual identities, but a unique and complex interaction. This concept highlights the limitations of considering identities in isolation and the need to understand their interwoven effects.
The text introduces the concept of habitus. How does it relate to identity?
Habitus, as defined by Bourdieu, refers to the ingrained dispositions and habits that shape our actions and perceptions. These habits are often unconsciously influenced by our identities, shaping our bodily hexis, posture, gait, speech, and influencing how we interact with the world. The author uses examples like accents and styles of dress to illustrate how habitus reflects and reinforces identity.
Essentialism is another key concept. What role does it play in the text's argument?
Essentialism is the belief that members of a group share an underlying essence that explains their common characteristics. The author argues that this is often a flawed assumption, as most identity groups are incredibly diverse. However, the text also acknowledges that essentialist thinking is a common cognitive bias, influencing how we perceive and interact with different groups.
Finally, the Robbers Cave experiment is mentioned. What does it demonstrate about identity?
The Robbers Cave experiment showed how quickly and easily group identities can form, even among similar individuals. The study demonstrated the rapid development of in-group favoritism and out-group antagonism, highlighting the powerful influence of group identity on behavior and social dynamics. This experiment underscores the inherent human tendency to create distinctions between us and them. Well, folks, that's a good overview of the complexities of social identity. It's a topic with many layers, and I hope this discussion has given you a better understanding of its historical development and ongoing significance. Thanks for listening.